don't want to, clutter up my vision by bringing too many things into play at one time.
Right.
And so we picked a place, and my son, we were looking through through all of the apartments that were going to be available to us. And one of my things that I had lived my life like was live life like you're on vacation.
Right.
So we're flipping through these pictures on the internet, and over the pool of the place where we live, there is a big banner that says live life like you're on vacation every day.
No way.
And
That's awesome.
Yes, my son pointed that out, and he goes, Dad, that's exactly what you say. And so many people wouldn't believe that unless you knew my family. And they're like, Dad, that's exactly what you say. And I was like, that's where we have to go. That's where we're going. And so I called, then we started the process, sent them, they emailed me the application. I overnighted them the application back with the application fee. She said, well, you'll hear back from us within 24 hours with a yes or a no of whether or not you're approved. And so we started packing. We started deciding, okay, this is what we're going to take, this is what we're not going to take. And so 24 hours went by. I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, okay, I've started packing. I've already given my notice where I'm going to, and started talking at work, and, just started affirming things with my mind, or with my voice. And they didn't call me back in 24 hours. And so my heart was starting to sink a little bit. That little bit of doubt started creeping in.
Right.
And then the next day goes by.
Okay.
And it's closing to the end of the day and still nothing. And so finally I called everybody in, called my family in, and I said, okay, my son had said, Dad, what are you going to do if we've already started packing? What are you going to do if they call us and tell us we don't have an apartment? And I said, you know what? We're going to Florida anyway, because I'm going to trust that there's going to be a place for us. I said, I know this is where we belong, because I had that physical sign right there, live your life like you're on vacation every day.
And I have to stop you right there for a second, Scott, because that is so powerful. And it actually, I love how the angels make this happen. That ties into the practical tip number 3 for next week, guys, if you tune in, which is tuning into the synchronicity that's happening into your life. And Scott did not know what practical tip number 3 was going to be, but yet and still it just dovetails so perfectly, because seeing a sign that happens to be your personal slogan and motto for your family over the place you want to live, I don't know how much bigger or magical it can get than that. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was just there. I was like, if I don't take this, and I didn't want to wake up one day if I didn't take this opportunity and think, how much greater could my life have been? How many more people could I touch if I took this opportunity? If I didn't take it, how many lives am I going to miss out on touching, or how many great opportunities am I going to miss out on if I don't take this chance? And so I called everybody in. We were getting nervous about waiting to hear from the apartment complex. I called everybody in. I was like, get out your iPads or your tablets and your phones, and we're all going to put screensavers of Florida beaches on our tablets, so that way we have a focus as a family, because we had to take our words and actually turn our words into action. And so many times I think that in life we can talk about it all day long.
Right.
As my grandma would say, you have to put legs on your prayers.
Ooh,
so we decided to start taking our words and put our words into visualization. And it's not so much as, the Florida beaches, as it was the fact of reminding us of our goal. This is what we are going to do as a family. And we made up our mind, like I said, miracles happen when you make up your mind. We made up our mind that we were coming to Florida regardless of if we were approved for this apartment or not. But, like I said, we sometimes put so many things out there that it clouds our vision of what we want, as opposed to taking these things one at a time. And if we take that vision, that main vision of what we want, and we focus on that, all these other little things that we want will start falling into place to make that vision happen.
Right.
So we've got to be careful not to cloud our vision.
Right. Because the things start to magnetize to your vision.
Exactly.
Again, I think that's such a fantastic tip for anyone listening. Scott had his family change their screensavers. What a 21st century way to manifest. He had everybody be looking at the same picture. So subconsciously that they were getting into the same vibration every single time they picked up their phone or their tablets or their laptops or computers. Whatever device they were on was helping them come into alignment. And that's such a simple trick and tip to help bring you into something, because visualization is really important when you are wanting to shift your life or your energy. It's very important for us to see things as humans, to know that we can have it, that we can attract it, and that we can make ourselves be there. Our mind is an incredible thing. And Joe Dispenza actually gets into a lot of that. And I'll be talking to you guys about Joe Dispenza throughout the show. But that's just, our mind is amazing, okay? So that's what Scott did with his family. And I have to ask, you're visualizing, you're in alignment with your spouse and your family. What about the finances? What about the money? How did you get that together? Because yes, you want to move, but you can't move on just hope. And yes, as your grandmother said, you have to put legs on your prayers. So how did you put legs on your prayers via finances?
Well, I actually took it in, like I said, I was very, very careful not to cloud my vision with so many little cluttery things, if you will, as opposed to I took envelopes. Like it just came to me one day, get envelopes. So I got some just white regular envelopes, and I broke my expenses up. Okay, this is what I need to move into my apartment. This is what I need for my moving truck. I even broke it down to, okay, this is how much money. I did the research, figured out exactly how much gas mileage my truck was going to get, how much gas mileage the car was going to get following the moving truck. And so I broke my vision down into attainable goals to get to the ultimate goal. And I broke my larger vision down into smaller visions, as like I said, the moving truck expenses, the apartment expenses. And so as we got the money, and money was coming in, and like I said, this is something that we made up our mind, and there was money coming in that we normally didn't have coming in, because there were things that, we had some things we were going to be selling because we were moving, and we just had miracles on selling things that we didn't want to bring with us. And so therefore the money was just coming in. And so as I would, fill up that envelope with the cash of, okay, I've got this money to move into the apartment. I know that it's done. I sealed it up, wrote the amount on there, wrote a thank you on there, and sealed it up and put it away. And I was like, that's one step closer to my goal. And like I said, we set a date. We're like, we're going on this date regardless. And we told everybody, this is the day we're leaving. And so because it would have been so easy to be like, oh, well, we're not bringing the money fast enough. We're going to push it out another 2 weeks, or we're going to push it out another month because we're not comfortable. We stuck to it. We kept our mind made up that this is what we were going to do. And it just started falling into place. My neighbor actually told me, she goes, this is just like magic. She goes, I've never seen anything like this happen to anybody. And she texted me the other night. They recently moved to a new house in town where they live. And she goes, our move just across town was not even as smooth as your move to Florida.
Wow. What a testimony.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So we broke those up, and, each day I could start watching these smaller things that we had envisioned come true. And it's just a matter of, if your vision seems like it's too large, to be manifested, if you will, look at it and ask for guidance to break it down and take those small steps to get to your large vision. So that way you're not cluttered with so many other whirlwinds of things. Oh my gosh, how am I going to get to that end result? How am I going to get there? Mm-hmm. Break it down into smaller visions, and you will get there.
Absolutely.
It will happen.
It will happen. And that's what I want everybody to know. And there are some key tenets here that you touched on in sharing this last part of the story with the money. You said you got the envelopes, which is a strategy I'd heard of before via Dave Ramsey, who talks about, who's a financial guru who talks about envelopes and paying things with certain envelopes and not going past your budget. But then the key, the extra seasoning you put on it was gratitude. You said you wrote thank you on the envelope, which I love that. And then you said you had yourself be held accountable by your friends and family. It's one thing to have a dream and then you're kind of skulking away into the night working on that dream. And that's okay. There's a period in our lives for incubation for things we want to come to fruition. But you were bold in your affirmation and declaration of your move. And you said, I'm telling everybody, and you had them hold you accountable, which now led into the testimony where your neighbor could say, wow, this was like magic, because she watched you speak it into existence, not know where money was coming from, not know what was going to happen next. And before you know it, you've moved across country. And that was more easy for you to do, as she gave you in her testimony, than it was for her to move across her own town, which is no disparagement to her, but it's just fantastic what kind of vibration and vortex you were in. You were really, swimming downstream. It was just fantastic. So I really love that part, and I hope everybody gets that. He was grateful for what little came.
And one thing that we did, especially my youngest son, he's 12, one of the cool things that we did is when we made our first $5 towards our move, that we actually made $5 selling a lamp that we didn't want to bring. When we celebrated our $5 flag, we went out and got a soda and we high-fived, and we just, we were just like, you know what, we're excited. That's $5 closer to Florida. And to somebody, $5 may not be a lot, but when you see that, and, even for your children, when they see that manifestation, even celebrating the small things, just being so grateful and being celebratory over the small things in life, it's amazing how the bigger things will open up, even when you celebrate over $5.
That's such great advice. Celebrate everything, every little thing, and watch how the universe responds to that energy of gratitude. That really shifts things. Gratitude is a huge key for movement. I couldn't agree with you more there. So now you're here, you've made it to Florida, and you are still learning and growing and teaching every day. And I just wonder, where do you go while you're here to connect to God, to Source, to Universe? Where is that special place for you? Since you wanted to be here, what is it that moves you on an earth and elemental level? Where do you go to connect?
I love to take trips to the ocean. We're not too far from our apartment to the beach, and I could just go and sit and just close my eyes and just listen and just attune myself, just to feel the water and the sand under my feet. Is just a magical feeling to me. It was a full moon the other night, and I was like, it is so beautiful out. I'm going to take, it was about 10:30 at night, and I told my family, I said, I'm going to take a drive over to the beach. I just want to celebrate this beauty for no particular reason. I just felt like I just needed to go, and I was like, if anybody wants to go with me, that's fine. They're like, oh, no, it's too late. We're going to stay home. I was like, fine, I'm going to go just celebrate this moment. And, it didn't cost any money. It took me just a few minutes of my time to drive over there. And when I walked down the pier onto down the steps onto the sand, and I'm just standing there watching the full moon reflect off of the waves, there was such a peace and such an energy. And all I could do is get tears in my eyes and just say thank you. That's all I could do is just, be so thankful that I am a part of something so much bigger and so much more beautiful than I can realize, that any of us can realize. But we all play a key part in that, and just taking those moments and saying, you know what, I'm just going to stop everything, and I'm just going to take 15, 20 minutes and just be grateful that I am a part.
A key, again, the gratitude and in absorbing that. And as a Cancer, I know you're a Cancer, so that water must be so healing for you. Just being out there. It is. I actually, when we moved here, I actually had them move us to an apartment closer to the pool. We were in our first apartment for a couple of weeks. And
So I asked him, I was like, can we have an apartment closer to the pool so I can just walk up right out my door if I can't drive over to the ocean because of family things? I come to the pool just being in the water, especially at night, and